All right, guys. I am lucky enough to get Greg Meyne back to talk football. Former coach, former player, guy who's done it all. He was in a back cut in the film. He did the whole 9 yards. Now he's an engineer. I've kind of gone over the whole thing before. Smart guy, knows the game. No one knows everything, but he knows a lot. And so I want to pick his brain on a couple of things. We're going to hit 3 targets. The understanding of how emotion is really not supposed to be a part of evaluation and coaching. He's going to talk about from his perspective how it's a negative and it's a constant battle. And there was some things he was talking about because we were chatting behind how you're coaching people that you like and and you've got to pull your emotions out of that. So emotions, and this game's all about emotions, especially with the fandom, but it is a clouding force when it comes to accurate evaluation. So I'm going to talk about that. Then want to get into McDaniel and this wave of optics on him, what he sees from the offense, what he's seeing from McDaniel, from his perspective. And then the last thing, I've been battling some Jonah Savaiinaea film. And I'm not saying he's bad or good or whatever, but to me, there's some concerning things that I've seen as far as his technique and things I don't even understand. It's a little confusing to me. And since I'm not an offensive lineman, I'm not a former coach, I want to let him take a look at it and then give a second opinion, get a second opinion on this for you guys, because I know a lot of people watch that video, and I just want to try to have the best evaluation for you guys as I can. So that's the whole deal. Greg, thanks for coming on. I'm always grateful. You and Alf are like my 2 big guys, and Darius is another guy who is Division I cornerback. You guys are the top of the food chain for me, so I'm always grateful when one of you 3 guys come on. So how you doing, man? Thank you for coming on. What's going on?
Doing pretty well. It's been a busy week of travel. So if you look, I am in a hotel room right now in Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Nice.
So I have a meeting here tomorrow, and I drove up from Atlanta because I had a meeting there yesterday. So it's been a busy couple of travel days for me. But
well, thank you for taking your time out, but in between that busy schedule for me, I appreciate that a ton.
No, this is talking football. This is fun. This is what I do at nights. I love doing this. So not a problem at all.
I know. It's much better than the arguing. Arguing over football. So that would be lead into it. So we were starting to talk about emotions, and you started talking about how, as a coach, you had tight relationships with these kids, and you had to pull yourself out of your relationships with them, pull your emotions out of your relationships with the film or whatever. So I'd like you to break that down so viewers can understand that cold calculation, while it's not friendly and cheery, it's the best formula for being a coach and an evaluator. And for those who want to kind of know exactly really what's going on with their team, you have to do this because it's so easy to be led astray. So kick it off, sir.
No, exactly. I graduated. My playing days were done. And over that summer, I started to evaluate opponent film. All right. With the coaching staff and everything else. So basically, we're setting up we're pre-scouting our opponents for the upcoming year based on last year's film, things like that. All right. That's relatively easy to do because you're dispassionate, right? You're looking at somebody else's film and you're okay. They're doing this, and this. You put it in the computer. You bring up all the statistics and all the tendencies and everything else, right? When you start watching film of your team, okay, the team that you're coaching, all right, I was a season removed from playing with a number of these guys. All right, I'm coaching at the college that I went to the year after I lost all my eligibility. All right, I am our offensive coordinator, who was also our O-line coach, was spending most of his time with the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and things like that. So I'm coaching the O-line. I'm coaching my friends. Then I have to watch the film of them and basically give them pointers the next day. All right.
Wow, that's sticky.
And the first couple of practices, I was pulling my punches, essentially. All right. And the coach came back and he said, look, you got to be dispassionate about this now. All right. We're doing this for the betterment of the team. You have to look at this as we're getting better for an opponent. You're not protecting your friend anymore, right? And it's just great advice, all right? You do that in all walks of life. You can't insert your emotions on it when you're trying to evaluate somebody, all right? And in college football, all right, it's hard because you go out and recruit these guys, all right? Later on, I'm sitting in living rooms and stuff like that, talking to parents and recruiting guys. I want my guys to do well. That's how you get noticed. That's how you move up the food chain within the college football ranks and coaching ranks, right? But when you're preparing for a game, you can't let all of those emotions and favor your guys over somebody else's. You got to let them talk.
Like Chris Gear.
Yeah, you have to do that, all right? And it's dispassionate. And now that I'm out of the game, I'm not coaching anymore, obviously. I'm a fan. I communicate with you and I communicate with other fans. I still try to do it dispassionately when I talk about the Dolphins.
Me too, brother. Me too.
I'm a fan, all right? I want Tua to be great.
Yeah.
Okay? I root for Tua every chance I get. But there's flaws in his game, and as being somebody that's should be dispassionate, when you're evaluating his game, you got to take your emotions out, and you got to just say it. You got to say it like it is.
Yep.
And that tends to make people in today's day and age, pissed.
Yeah.
Right. All right. They're fans first and foremost. I understand it. I mean, fan is short for fanatic.
Yeah.
All right. I get it. But I come from being somebody that was making a conscious effort to be dispassionate about my fandom to do a proper evaluation.
I agree.
And it's something that I think we don't see enough of in today's
in anything really.
Yeah, in today's highly emotional, internet age, with podcasts and everything else.
Yeah,
and social media.
I learned that from being a father. And if you let your kids coast because you're overlooking certain things or you're getting on them for something that's not valid, you're doing more damage than good. And so I was a very passionate, very, I don't know, my heart was always into everything. It was always on my sleeve. And through life, I learned I made a lot of mistakes. But then when I had my kids, I realized I had to reel it in. I had to control everything that was coming out of my mouth, every punishment. And then when I started doing this thing, I've learned as well, because if you're not, you make bad evaluations. You come out and say Joe Blow A is going to be terrible, and he ends up being good. You say Joe Blow a B is going to be, the best thing ever, and he's garbage, but you're invested in it, and now you're feeding bad information to your viewers, and ultimately the truth's going to arrive, and it's a lot easier to swallow that pill early than late. And so I think that's the beauty of this game for me. And so that's really why I enjoy what you do in our communication. So I totally agree.
Yeah, no, and that doesn't mean I'm going to be right all the time, just because I'm dispassionate about it and I'm trying to do the evaluation. All right. I mean, look, all right. Years ago, I said that I would not even draft Mike Evans as a wide receiver because I didn't think he could play in the NFL. All right. And he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. All right. Not only was a first round pick, he's going to be a Hall of Famer. All right. Yep. And I said I wouldn't draft the guy. All right. It's because I evaluated him. I was being dispassionate about it. I was just wrong. All right.
Yeah.
It happens. But, he's actually one of my favorite players now in the league. I love the way he plays football, but I just didn't think his game would translate to the NFL. And I had other people tell me that it would. And we argued about it, but it was fine.
Well, that's the thing. People, I think that people have lost the ability to accept that it's okay to be wrong. Yeah, for me, absolutely. I don't mind if someone's wrong. I just don't like bad motives. The best GMs in the world fail. The best coaches fail with bad evaluations. Everybody does. And I think that the whole mode of doubling down is it's really a bad way of operating. It's okay. I'm wrong too. I get it wrong too. Ask my wife. She'll tell you all the time. I get it wrong. So Yeah, that's the thing. It's okay. It's not really about being 100%. It's not the perfect season you're looking for. You're looking for a higher accuracy rate than you had yesterday, tomorrow. And the only way to do that is to learn and be dispassionate and be honest and not, selling.
Correct. The biggest thing for me and anybody else, I would imagine, is just when your emotions are coming into play, is to realize that they are.
Yeah.
Okay. And then taking a step back. It's something that you get better at when you get older. All right. You are better at evaluating yourself as you get older and you have more experience. And when you start going down that path, you can then take a step back easier.
Hey, I screwed up 50 times doing it this way. Maybe I think this one might not be a winner. 51 might be the failure. I love Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee had the best quote. It's in the beginning of Enter the Dragon. Emotional content, not anger. It's like a finger pointing its way to the moon. Concentrate on the finger and you will miss all the heavenly glory. And it's the micro focus on this little particular whatever, and then the macro slips by you.
Yeah, it's the forest through the trees.
So speaking of, let's go a macro look at McDaniel. I personally like some of his stuff. I personally don't like some of his stuff as a coach. I think he's had bad framework wrapped around him. I don't think he's been set up to win properly. I think he was a green head coach, asked to win now as an OCHC, but we're year 4. There's no excuses. There's no excuses. He's got primetime games. The media is ratcheting it up on his walk to the gallows. What say you, Greg Meyne?
I think he's a good football coach. All right. I think he knows how to structure plays and how to design plays. All right. I think what it's taken him a little bit of time to figure out is how to do that around the limitations of some of his players and some of his key players. And what I'm hoping I see this year is a little bit more trust in his players to do the right thing. All right. Don't help them as much. Just let them line up and play football in a way. All right. Especially with Tua. Okay. I want to see, I don't want to see the motions and shifts. I want to see them line up, identify what's going on, and getting into the right play and throwing the ball to the guy who's going to be open. All right. I just want him to, I want Tua just to be able to sit back and play football. Okay.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about McDaniel, doing everything for him, which I think has happened in the past. All right. But part of what you said too is I agree with. He's been hamstrung a little bit. All right. He's been hamstrung with some of the O-line play. He's been hamstrung with some of the limitations at quarterback, and he's playing to strengths, but that doesn't necessarily result in winning football, in my opinion, especially against good teams. Like I said, teams don't stop scheme. All right. The scheme is fine. McDaniel's scheme is fine. Teams limit players. All right. And they try to get you to your best players to do the things they don't do best.
Exactly.
All right. So if Tua can't throw an out and they determine that they can't throw an out, they're going to try to make him throw outs. All right.
Yep.
That doesn't mean every time he throws an out, it's going to be an incompletion. All right.
It's just the consistency is not going to be.
The consistency is not there. If he's completing 80% of his slants and he's completing 50% of his outs, they still want him to throw outs, right?
Yep.
Okay. So understanding that, and then I want to see McDaniel basically try to scheme around it this year. Let's see if we can take advantage of some of the things the defense is doing that we haven't done in the past. So we'll see what happens.
My thing is that, so if you have a quarterback or a running back or whatever, and they have a certain skill set, every skill set has weakness. And the goal is to hide that weakness and accentuate the strength.
Correct.
And for me, it's a unit failure because when you see the high cover two, the high linebackers, the wide edge players, the over coverage, the focus on three sectors, and the abandonment of the interior run game, I know Tua can't take on outs like some of these guys. But it's up to the unit to change that leverage. And that's why I think the interior run is the key. Now, maybe McDaniel's not calling it enough. Maybe you'd want a quarterback who could throw it a little bit better. But I watched Josh Allen when he didn't have a run game, and they would ask him to throw all day. His completion percentages was dropping. Yeah, he'd run around. He'd run the football for himself and make big plays. For me, Tua is a limited quarterback in that out deep power throw sector. He's a limited quarterback when it comes to his injury history. He's a limited quarterback in his ability to get on the ground. But there's so many other sectors. Like, even now you're seeing those outs with the two Washingtons. How come they've never been in there? How come we've never seen Hill and Waddle on the same side doing a small over and under with a curl underneath? To me, I think McDaniel has been strapped, but some of this stuff is to help Tua. It's also to help himself, because my personal belief is that the system we got now, it offloads a lot of responsibilities to the receiver and to Tua, and he just kind of has to be a strategic coach rather than a tactical coach, where if you had a different kind of system. I do think the run game interior would change the leverage and open things up. But that's just my take. That's just my take.
Well, and part of what I think the growth is that we need to see from McDaniel is to understand that he is putting the defense is putting his best players in positions to where they don't succeed as much. All right.
Yeah. No leverage.
If Achane is your lead running back, all right, and if I'm a defense, and Achane's going to run the ball, I want him running inside.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Why? Because he's not as good running the ball inside as he is when he gets out on the perimeter and in space. Okay. So I'm wanting, if you're going to hand the ball off to him, I'm putting him inside. I am designing my defense to make sure that he goes inside. All right. Okay. If the defense is going to do that, then maybe put in a better running back that, runs the ball inside better than he runs the ball outside. All right. Maybe that's Ollie Gordon, and part of what I've liked so far when I've seen him run the ball this year in camp has been, he's pretty powerful between the tackles. He's not afraid to be his own blocker. Let's put it that way. And run, run behind his pads and lower his shoulder into people. So
he's when he gets some space and he gets on the other side of the line of scrimmage, he's really powerful, like surprising. Guys were falling off him.
He has. I didn't know much about him prior to the draft. All right, but after watching him play, I am pleasantly surprised with how well he's performed and the type of running back that he is.
Yeah. Chris Kaufman put out a great tweet, though. It's for context. Ollie's had 10 yards before contact, and Jalen Wright's had -1. And so I think that there's some of that in there too. But my thing is, if you have the right blocking, that's what this kid should be seeing. He should be seeing the other line in the scrimmage. He should be seeing contact at the 3 yards and this is what he could do.
Yeah, and look,
and he can pass block, which Wright can't.
If they're going to continue to play the soft linebackers, it's 5, 6, 7 yards deep and things like that, contact should be made 2, 3 yards on the other side of the line of scrimmage minimum. All right.
Hallelujah.
All right. The problem is I think Achane kind of dances in the back
a little bit
before hitting it hard, and that's what limits him on the inside runs. So if you hit it hard and you basically just put a hat on the defensive tackles, you should have a decent enough hole to get 2 or 3 yards before contact. Let's see if that happens. And and honestly, the Achane injury, maybe keeping him out the first couple of weeks with the calf. Do
you think it's going to be that long? Sealer's back today, which I was very happy about. He was practicing today, but Achane's a little bit more fickle. Somebody was
Achane's
telling me they got knowledge, and I'm not saying they don't, but they said he could play today if he wanted to. My thing is he's always injured.
Well, and my thing is he's a speed guy with a calf injury. All right.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a little bit more cautious at the beginning of the
100%.
season. All right, to make sure I don't screw him up for the rest of the season. All right, if this was a December game, he probably is playing. Right, it's September. Okay, let's play the long game here, and and figure it out, and let's try to keep him healthy.
If you don't have
the extra week or two,
this offense is screwed.
If you don't have what?
If you don't have Achane for long periods of time, this offense is in big trouble.
Yeah, especially with his pass catching ability. He's going to catch 70, 80 balls this year again. So, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I say, let's err on the side of caution here. Let's make, September, October is not as important as November, December, January.
Totally good. All right. Now, last part, speaking of, I got this Jonah film. I'm going to give you my take. I want to hear your side, your perspective. Maybe I'm crazy. So we'll break it out and we'll take a look at it here and let it run. So my points, so what I've seen so far, his stance is so wide and he has trouble. When he takes that first step, there's no real ability for him to get any wider because his stance is so wide. The foot comes up, it comes down, and then he takes his first step. 2, there's a lot of stuff, but this is the main things I want to talk about. His feet. They do a penguin thing where the toes are pointing in opposite directions and he gets lateral with his feet turned like a penguin instead of on the balls of his feet. To me, there's something going on there. I see his left foot like it's bent really hard, but I think it's when you're a tackle, you get that foot kicked out hard so you can get the kickback. But he's a guard, and I don't think that's as effective. I think maybe he's still in transition. But anyway, I'm going to go through the film. That's kind of what I wanted to focus on. It's really kind of weird. And those things all fall into play where he's leading with his head. He's leaning over his body. He's getting bad first step. And just weird pigeon-toed, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, pigeon-toed, penguin-toed thing. Just break it down for me and let me know what you think. So here's the first play. Let me get back here. Hold on.
So if you look at if you look at his takeoff, all right, his stance is too wide. All right, he look at where his feet are. His feet aren't under his shoulders. All right, and they're too wide. What that does is it does 2 things. It makes it hard for him to move from side to side. All right, to adjust to the pass rush. All right, in essentially. Think of a pass block. All right. Once you're engaged, you're taking a series of 6-inch steps. Okay. All right. You should only be moving your feet about that far. Okay. If you're extending out beyond that, you're getting off of your center of gravity.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So you want to stay within here. You want to stay within the framework of your shoulders. Okay. And when you're wide like that, you have to extend your step. All right. So now to get back into a position, you're taking a 12 to 18-inch step. All right. What does that do? All right. Why do you want to keep it 6 inches? It's because you want to get that foot up and down quick. Because once you got
to plant root.
Correct. If you're only 1 foot on the ground, you have no power and you basically lose all your leverage.
And that's what you're seeing here.
And that's what you're seeing here. Okay. Now, I'll say this about him. He's playing a little high hipped as well. He's not sinking. Okay.
Yeah.
He's getting kind of forward and overextended. All right. But that's basically because his feet are wrong.
Yeah. Why is his toes? Why is his toe? Look, I was a fighter. I took martial arts. I was a running back. I got bow legs too. But I learned early on from martial arts, your toe direction is critical. And there's one play in here where he's so side-footed, you can see the ankle buckle because you're setting yourself up to like lock, but you have and you're actually going to fall back because there's no way to root. Got to be on the balls of your toes, at least flat-footed, but pointing at the enemy.
Well, you want to be. All right. If you're on the balls of your feet, if you're on the toes, right? All right, you can drive that way, but it's hard to it's hard to absorb. All right, for lack of a better
Yeah.
term, right? So somebody's coming at you, and it's hard to stop momentum coming back there, coming at you and moving you backwards if you're on the balls of your feet. So it being flat-footed is not bad,
No,
right?
no. Depending
But
on the situation. Like for me, when I was a running back and I had to do my pass blocking and I saw somebody come, I immediately got on my toes so I could get under them and get that pop. I wanted to shoot like that. And when I want to move, but yeah, if I was bracing, then I
if
lay
you're
down on my flat feet.
correct, all right. But the other thing is when you have your feet underneath you, and you can adjust, side to side with short choppy steps.
Mm-hmm.
It helps keep your center of balance, your center of
Mm-hmm.
gravity where it needs to be. All right. So I'm going to say this for in a little bit of defense of Jonah. I think he's trying to do things too fast. All right. The speed of the game in the NFL is significantly different than college,
Oh,
and it looks like he knows he has to be fast, and he's doing everything just a little bit too fast than what he can handle. It hasn't slowed down for him yet. I'm hoping that when the game slows down for him and he can get with the rhythm and what the speed is, and there's no guarantee that he's going to, some of his technique's going to come back. But right now, I mean, if you look at that tape, that play again, his left arm, what is it doing?
I don't
It's
know.
completely outside of his frame. Okay, that refs look at that, and that's going to be a hold right there. Okay, so he gets out of his stance and his arms widen. All right, you can't do that either. You got to be in here. And like I said, I think the speed he's not used to the speed yet, so he's trying to get used to the speed. But this, that shot right there, look at where his left arm is.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
He should be on the numbers, man. He should be driving inside, not worrying about the hands.
he should be driving inside.
But he doesn't have a good look. Look at him. He's so out of balance. His feet are in front of his shoulders. He's almost getting knocked back.
His right foot is almost parallel to the lines.
Yeah.
All right. When you want to stay perpendicular. All right. And that's why he's getting drove back. So there's a number of things that are happening here that for a guard he's not anchoring properly. I'll just say it that way. And then here on that play, look how high.
Look at his legs right there. It's so wide. I mean, is he bow-legged or something? I mean, that is incredible. He's looks like, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, it's not bad. He's bent low, whatever, but it just looks so awkward.
Well, so look at him next to Paul. Go back to that other play. All right.
That's Keon. That's Keon.
Oh, Keon. I'm sorry. All right. Savaiinaea is bent over at the waist, so his numbers are a little bit distorted. All right. 71 is basically showing you his full number. All right.
Yeah.
Because his hips are lower. All right.
Yeah.
He's a taller player, but he's got better bend. All right.
And look at the feet. One's pointing at 3 o'clock and the other one's pointing at 9.
Well, yeah. It's just his base is all messed up here. Now, see that was just a bad step. All right, go to the start of that again.
Yeah, hold on a second. And you know what it does? What I think, this is my take. He's so wide that he can't take a step, so he lifts it up and puts it back down, right in the same spot. Yeah. Look at that.
See, he gained no ground there. Okay.
No, and he had to lean to meet.
And he had to lean to meet because he didn't gain any ground.
Yeah.
In the zone blocking scheme, you want to take I'll call it a drop step because most people don't like it called a drop step. It's a position step, but it's a drop step. But even at the drop step, you're still gaining ground. Okay. So when you
explain a drop step, please.
Okay. So So the whole point of a zone blocking scheme for a run game, all right, is essentially to put the O-line's shoulders parallel to the running back shoulders. So the running back's behind the center. When he goes left or right, his shoulders turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you want your shoulders as the offensive lineman to be on the same plane. All right. That way you're working together.
I never thought of it like that, ever.
Right? So
like
you're working together to move not only vertically but also horizontally, because the running backs are running horizontally with you. So you're working together as a team, as a plane, to move forward. Okay.
Oh man, that's good stuff, guys. You got some good stuff
So-
there. I've been thinking about that for days.
So to do that, you take your position to the, on this case, the left-hand side, you drop your left foot, okay, to turn your shoulders. All right. And then your right foot comes up, and that's your drive foot. Okay. That's when you initiate contact. And if the guy's outside of you, your aiming point for your right hand, if you're going to your left, is basically the breastplate, okay, of the defender. But to do that, you have to gain ground with the drop step. Okay, so you're not only moving.
How much ground are you supposed to get? So I'm
about
the guard.
6 inches. About 6 that much.
Inches.
It's about.
But his foot is actually landing in the same spot,
and it's landing in the same spot.
That 6 inches is really hurting him.
It's really hurting him, but he's also really wide in his stance, which makes it hard. Okay, but yeah, and if you don't gain ground, you end up hitting the defender here, and he's got the upfield advantage to you. Okay, so you take the drop step, you turn your shoulders, you drive with your inside hand essentially to get to his breastplate, and then your outside hand should come up on his shoulder. Okay. The difference between a zone run game and a
You're
power
talking about
game.
Outside zone? You're talking about outside zone or just general zone?
Just general zone. Okay. Outside zone, inside zone. Basically, outside zone, your aiming point's a little bit further outside on the defender. Inside zone, you're a little bit further inside. But for the most part, let's just call it the breastplate. You're aiming right between the numbers, right in the chest. Okay.
Yes, coach.
Right. And you're putting your outside hand on his shoulder. In a zone game, you're not necessarily wanting to turn that shoulder, okay? You're just wanting to get momentum back and to the sideline, all right? All right, so if you can turn the shoulder, great, but you don't necessarily have to, all right? Because the running back is taught to basically cut off what he sees. So if the hole is on your butt, okay, he'll cut behind you. If the hole is in front of you because you were able to turn the shoulder, he'll go on the outside. All right. So you're focusing on that aspect of it. But if you're not gaining ground with the drop step, you basically put yourself in a hole. All right. You can't get to that outside number, and it gives the running back basically one look.
And I think he's compensating by leaning because he's not getting that ground. That foot comes up, it comes down, and he's trying to, instead of getting closer to him, so then you meet him, he's like, oh, I'm here, he's there, I'm just going to lean. And but I want to take it into another direction quick. How do the coaches not on that? That should be, I've seen it for 2 weeks now. That to me is, if I did no way, it's like being a dancer. The toes, it all starts at the toes. It all starts in the stance. How is that not being banged in? Hey, dude, this stance, how do they not see that all the way through camp? How do they not see that all the way through these practices? How did they get him to this stage and it's still okay? To me, I'm not upset at Savaiinaea. He's doing his thing. He's supposed to have the coaches to get him to fix that stuff up. And then he's supposed to then adapt, but there's no way that you can keep doing what I saw on that film. I'm a nobody. And I was just like, what? I thought I was hallucinating. I thought I took an extra dose of mushrooms today because I'm like, this is not normal. This is crazy.
It's like I said, there's something causing him to basically lose a bunch of fundamentals all at the same time, right?
But wouldn't you say though, hey, dude, that stance, what's
You
with
got
that?
you got to narrow it up. All right.
Yeah, like how is that? We're 2 weeks from the season.
Correct. And there's like 20 coaches. All right. So there's probably 3 or 4. There's an O-line coach, there's a tackle coach, and there's a guard coach. There's probably a center.
I don't know how that slipped through. He's one of your most valuable players.
He's either not taking what he's practicing from the practice field to the game field, which is an issue, or the coaches aren't hammering fundamentals with him hard enough. All right. And the scary part about that is
sorry, I'm getting excited. I'm sorry, Greg. I'm getting excited. I'm trying to keep my fire in.
Once you get to the regular season, you're basically game planning all the time now because you're limited in practice, right? So you don't work fundamentals as much as you used to, in camp or anything like that. So if he's got a fundamental problem now, it's only going to get worse throughout the year. And you kind of have to because
you're on you're trying to survive. Like at that stage, all you're just trying to do is survive, and everything instinct but that's the thing that's getting me. They decide to move him to guard. They decide to move him to the left side. How is he allowed to have that stance, those toes to be where they're at? And I'd just be like, dude, you're not playing. I'd pull him off. If I saw that as a coach and I told him not to do it, I'd be like, come on, you're coming out. How is it being allowed? That is bad coaching. That's setting him up to fail. You moved him all the way over there and you're allowing that? Like, how is that not a thing?
Well,
am I making too much of it?
I don't think you're making too much of it. The only thing I would say from a coaching perspective is maybe this is still practice, and they're probably just wanting to get reps on film, and basically say, look, on these 2 or 3 plays, you did it well. On these 15 others, it was horse crap, for lack of a better term.
But
right?
The thing is, though, the stance never changes. The toes never change. That first step, it's the same every single time. There's almost none of them that were right.
And if that's the case, then you're going to have a serious discussion about whether you play him or not, because essentially
it's going to hurt him.
Well, essentially that last play where he didn't take the step and things like that one we just watched, right? You basically just screwed the running back on that run play. All right. There's giving the defender that much space on the outside basically says the running back can't go there unless he can outrun him.
The door closes. Only one way through the door.
Correct.
That's what my coach used to call it, a door. Yeah.
And the whole and one of the basic premises of the zone run scheme is the running back has choices. Okay. Supposedly. In a power scheme, basically you're running to the combo block for the most part. All right. So you're basically telling the running back you're running there. Okay. Yep. And basically that's where the hole's going to be. And if you were, back in the day, you would say you don't bounce, you don't deviate from that hole until you get through the hole. Right.
When I was trying to walk on, I hadn't played. And my coach kept calling me OJ because I kept trying to bounce it out. He's like, we don't do that here, OJ.
Oh, absolutely. And on the power scheme, you only deviate after you get through the hole. Yeah. All right. That's
so funny. That brings back memories, dude.
But on the zone scheme, you basically hand the ball to the running back and he makes decisions. He makes decisions about what he sees in front of him. And if the guard is allowing that much outside number to show, the running back has no choice but to cut it back. And then it's okay. What are the backside blockers doing? Are they doing their jobs to potentially create a hole? But the defender there did his job. His job is not to get beat outside. He's supposed to be turning it all in, and basically he did his job because the guard was just horrible in his technique. I'm sorry.
your job as a coach is, I'm not a coach. I've done a little bit. I'm a father. I, trained with people and I had to teach them this and that. And I was going to be a teacher. You have a responsibility in spring ball that should have been dealt with. And it should have been hammered in on the return on mandatories. Should have been hammered in and dealt. It should never have been there coming into camp. And the fact that it's still here, that's one of the most grievous things I've ever seen. Like, as far as you taking a guy you spent a second and third on, and you're that's acceptable. And I don't know why. Maybe he's so bow-legged, that's what he's got to do. And maybe it's not accentuated because when he was a tackle. I don't know. I don't remember his film. I don't know his film, but it's going to hinder him. It's going to hinder him big. And there's other things on top of this, but that's like the foundation, So I'm just I hate when we screw guys over.
It's when you talk O-line play, all right, just in general, when you talk O-line play, it all starts with your base. Okay. If your base isn't right, everything else goes wrong. All right. He's too wide. And the reason he's too wide, all right, because he's too wide, all right, his arms go wide because that's the only way you can balance yourself.
Okay? Oh, great point. I like that. Right. I'm going to remember that one. That's true.
Okay. All right. And when you get wide, it's harder to sink.
You're opening yourself up to be like going into a fight like this. Come on, dude. And that's what the guys get knocked out.
Correct. All right. You're a boxer. You're, martial arts and stuff like that. You don't play like this. All right. You're in tight. Yeah. All right. You're making, because this is where your balance and this is where your power is.
Yeah.
When you get out wide, you lose all of that.
That's why when an alignment, it's this. You're in here like this, tight. Butts tight, bent, hands in jerseys, driving.
Correct. And we can talk about punch, we can talk about all of that stuff and power and everything else. If your hands aren't inside the defender,
they're always on shoulder. He's always on the shoulder.
And if you're always out here, not only are you going to get called for more holding, okay, but you don't have any of the power and you lose all of your leverage. So, but all of this stuff that gets into here, all right, starts with your legs. And if your legs aren't in tight and your center of gravity is not right, then everything spreads out. Okay. Now, in college, because he's a big guy and he's strong and he's athletic, in his own way, he could probably get away with it. All right. You don't get away with that stuff in the NFL.
Nope, not for long.
Not for long. You better be technique and fundamentally sound, and then work on everything else. And right now he's struggling with his fundamentals.
Last question, because we had a time frame, but I think we enjoyed the conversation so much went on. Last point before we get out. To me, the toes, the wide stance, it is so hard to change that. What's the feasible reality time frame him to fix just the stuff that you're seeing? Is it possible to get it fixed by week 1? I don't think so, but I'm a nobody. I want to hear somebody like you tell us what you think the turnaround could be.
If it's a speed thing, if he's getting used to the speed of the game and he's overcompensating for it, it could happen anytime, essentially. All right. If it's a truly fundamental issue that he's having, that's a long-term fix. That's just
define long-term.
It depends on every individual, but you're talking like he should be doing 100+ reps a day just on his first steps. Okay. And we'll do the old Rocky Balboa thing. Okay. Literally tie string on his feet. All right. Mm-hmm. Prevent him from getting so wide and getting him used to taking this size step as opposed to that big a step.
That should have been done already, though.
It should have been done.
How is it not? In Barry, I don't trust.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's going to be my podcast tomorrow.
As a coach, you should be seeing this almost immediately. all right, saying, look, you're too wide and we got to narrow you up. And if he hasn't been working on it, that is malpractice. All right.
That's crazy. All right, we're gonna end it on that one.
Yep.
I know you're busy. I want to get you back. I really enjoy it. There's like 3 or 4 points I never thought of. I never realized that the legs out wide, hands out wide, to balance. There's a bunch of things. Even as a running back, I didn't really think the shoulders of the offensive lineman are supposed to be married with the running back. A lot of great stuff as always. Like I said, Darius, you and Al just always bring stuff for me to learn from and think about. I'm very grateful. Greg, I appreciate your time. Give us a lowdown of where we can find you. We're going to find you back here at one point. I know that. I'm going to make sure that happens. But let us know where we can find you.
Yeah. So I'm doing shows with Steve Malloy, our friend on Finstock Sports.
I'm on there with the next week.
So I was on there last night with him.
Oh, nice.
And then next week we're starting our Thursday show, overtime. Me and Evan are back.
Awesome.
Evan was vacationing in the Caribbean. He had a 2-week cruise that he just got out of. So
nice.
Now that the final preseason game's going, and we're going to be on that, prior to the game one. And then I'm probably going to be doing some pre and post on Finstock Sports Network as well. So.
Awesome. You bring good stuff, brother, every single time.
No.
We disagree a little bit, but it's always cordial, and I always learn. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed. I really did. We were supposed to do 20 minutes. We're up to 46. I think I could have done another 46. Always great, Greg. I'm so grateful. Be safe on your trip, and we'll talk to you soon. Greg and Curtis saying, be well, go Fins.
Yeah, be well. Thanks, guys.
Out. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.